let it loose for a moment and say, let's just talk about everything and anything without having to be a little bit tight on what is happening in the world of news today. We'll be talking a bit of GBV, but you know, with a nice twist, because I'll be having the Misters and Misses of what and what in a moment. And so it will be about GBV and, you know, in the beauty industry or, you know, in the modeling industry. And we're getting this very beautiful men and women getting into the space of making sure that, you know what, despite their beauty, despite all this that they go out there to do in terms of passion, they also make sure that they create an impact in society. And so we'll be getting to that shortly. Perhaps that will be the main conversation of the day. And also later, be hitting the kitchen kidogo just to make some nice Christmas decorations, you know, just giving you tips of what you can do with your kids. That should be towards the last minutes of the programs. But for now, allow us to briefly look at what the papers detail. Kidogo sana, you know, it would not be morning cafe if we do not, you know, just get to know what is happening in the world of news. And so briefly, we'll be looking at that. Once again, the broadcast is Morning Cafe. Karibu sana. My name is Linda Alela, and the hashtag is Morning Cafe at Linda_Alela TV47KE across all our social media platforms. We sample that as we continue. The Standard newspaper, the Daily Nation, and the People Daily. Let's see what is captured here. Brace for higher taxes to fund. Oh, why am I even beginning with some bad news? Yes, but it's the truth of the matter. That is what the papers detail this morning. So brace for higher taxes to fund about 3.6 trillion budget. Yes, it goes higher and higher and higher. To imagine that at some point in time, we had a budget of about 1 trillion, you know, and in lightning speed, year after year, it shoots up. The worst of all is that we do not, you know, collect enough within to manage this budget, and therefore we've resorted to go and get lots of debt that we're not able again to sustain. And we ask ourselves, just what will it take for us to bring this economic sanity? Remember, most of these politicians had gone out there to campaign on basis of how we can get economic emancipation. And so we ask ourselves, just what will the Kenya Kwanza government do to make sure that this then is something that is a dream that is realized? They say they would want to focus much on the question of how we can save as a country, and perhaps that would be an easy and sure way for us to deal with the economy, but we can only wait. And so this is what the Standard newspaper says this morning. A Treasury's budget review and outlook. Paper reveals President William Ruto will oversee the biggest budget in the country's history, and to finance it, then we'll have to borrow heavily and increase taxation. That is captured on page 4, definitely. Treasury says it will bridge the 695.2 billion budget deficit. That is by borrowing from the domestic market. We're looking at 496.6 billion, and externally, then they seek to borrow around 188.6 billion. Just how sustainable is that? We can only wait to see. KRA is expected to collect about 2.57 trillion. That is 2023-2024 financial year, which is about 17% more than the 2.19 trillion it projected to collected over the current financial year, that is June 2023. It is also 27% more than about 2.03 trillion that the taxman collected over the financial year June 2022. And so Treasury also said it would by end of this month eliminate fuel subsidies, but added it will continue with subsidizing fertilizer, which is expected, or which it expects will eventually pay off by easing the cost of living. That is the biggest story. And we're looking at, you know, 100 days into the Kenya Kwanza government. Just what are the promises have they, that they've managed to, you know, deliver? What are these ones that they have not delivered? And what would they require for them to address this? Of course, the biggest of the problems is money, more debts and conditions, as IMF releases about 55 billion. While they say it's good to be on the good books of the IMF and World Bank, equally they say it is perhaps one of the riskiest moments for a country. And so, as always, they will call the shots. And so we wait to see just how the Kenya Kwanza government then handles this. Christmas crackdown, drivers beware. And also on the front page of the Standard newspaper, expounded on page 3, the CS for Interior and the CS for transport as well out there to just caution the people of Kenya on how to behave on the roads, and also the question of security. They say we should not have these cases of overspeeding, overloading of goods and excess passengers, of course contravening of licensed public services, vehicle routes, and so much more. We all understand the rules of the game, and we know what we are supposed to do and what we're not supposed to do, and therefore there's going to be a crackdown. So you need to be careful every time you're using the road, and most importantly also, let's not go out there and cause insecurity to others, because then the government is on alert. Away from it to some bit of politics. Azimio man got rooms for Cherera 4, and this is a story captured on page 11. Of course, the hearing, the tribunal began its hearing processes as to this petition. The first petitioner, that is Dennis Ndumbi, being put to task to, just present his case, and most importantly, this then will be running for us to get to understand whether then acquitted, of course, will be Masit, or it will be a different conversation, and whether indeed the four, three of whom have already resigned, will be given a clean bill of health. In the event they are given a clean bill of health, then what happens? Of course, perhaps Masit survives, but if they're not given a clean bill of health, then we get to know what direction it takes. It will be a danger for Masit, because then chances are that she would not be allowed to either, be in any government or any civil, civil service, of course, and this then would mean perhaps a career coming to a halt, but it's almost automatic that then we might be taken to a direction where we'll have to seek to get more commissioners. These ones have not even managed to clear their very years that they were supposed to do. And of course, Azimio claiming that this is a witch hunt, but then on the other side, there's that general feel that these commissioners did not do justice as to the question of the election. We'll be looking at that as we continue. And on the other side, of course, the Hustler Dream shelved in Ruto's first 100 days, just looking at what the Kenya Kwanza government has managed to achieve and what they have not achieved. It's generally the conversation of the day, the numerous promises that they have managed to achieve in this very 100 days, the ones that they promised and they have not. Of course, the government will always be put to task. Azimio, on the other side, we had Honorable Jeremiah Kioni here yesterday saying that they will be releasing some bombshell later as we continue, just to keep the government to check just what are the possibilities that we can bank and we can trust on the current government. A question of wait and see, a conversation that we're having as a people of Kenya, but most importantly, reminding ourselves that it is incumbent upon us to as well try our level best to be creative, create employment, so that we are not constantly dependent on the government. But we always hope that they're going to make the environment pretty easy for us to conduct business. And more or less the same stories. Power women in Ruto State House. Well, the cabinet has highest representation of women since independence. That is something that has been, celebrated in as much as it falls short of the promise that the president had made during his campaign trails, saying that it will be a 50-50 affair. Just why has he not managed to achieve this? Again, is a conversation that is on, but certainly, a government that is to be celebrated in terms of how women have been incorporated in these very positions. Away from it, KCP results set to be released today, and so we'll be following up keenly. We have our education reporters on standby. Andrin will be giving you updates, as well as Sharon Baranga, and therefore we are keen to see who are the students that are going to carry the day and what then after this historic process or transition in their life. Don't touch matatus. Gachagua tells Sakaja in tussle over Tamine in downtown Nairobi. Of course, there was that crackdown, but then Gachagua is of the idea that this will stop many from conducting businesses, and so he says he's going to speak to the governor of Nairobi just to tell him to go easy on these matatu operators for purposes of making sure that they're able then to earn a living. We'll looking at that as, of course, time goes. Members of Parliament give hope to Kenyans working in the Gulf as well. This conversation has been on as to how we can protect our girls and boys who will always travel from the country and to the Gulf in search of greener pastures. It's not been good report that we've received from there, but then again, these conversations that are on between these two governments would perhaps, or the different governments, and of course we hope that there's going to be a social contract that will be good enough to protect those ones of us that proceed to other countries in search of greener pastures. And main suspect in Baby Sagini horror attack seized in city somewhere in, right behind Kenyatta University in Kiwanja. That is where, of course, this lady was seized from. And I mean, the conversation is still on. Investigations continue for us to get to know just what really conspired or what really played out or transpired, that is, such that this little young man had his eyes go out. Quite an unfortunate report, and we certainly hope that justice then will be found for them. We shelve this one for a moment. Do we have the People Daily? All right, let's have the People Daily projected so that we can see what it has. There you go. Tough rules to curb Xmas road carnage. Definitely we know the government saying that they are keen to make sure that this is addressed, with Kenyans getting ready to travel and spend time with their loved ones this very season. The road safety has attracted fresh attention with police traffic rules. It's unfortunate that the numbers continue to shoot up of the road carnage and the people who've lost their lives, courtesy of this difficult time. So we certainly hope that we are careful on the roads as much that we can say, even as fare prices are hiked up. Well, definitely a majority of Kenyans are going back to that tradition of having some of us just home just so we can have the moment with friends and family. First daughter sparks debate about office. That is a debate that has been there for the better part of this month, and of course Kenyans continue to seek for answers from Charlene Ruto as to what really it is that she is doing, and of course these activities that she does across the different parts of the country. Kenyans are asking who is funding that. Is it from the taxpayers' money? Of course, she says no. This from well-wishers and the few individuals, stakeholders, the few corporate entities that she has been working with. And so we're looking to see just how she manages this, and whether then Kenyans will give her that trust and, accord her the opportunity, to serve them in different capacity. Of course, having the privilege the first daughter. Allow us to shift gears to the next segment. Do we take a short breather or we go direct? Yes, we take a short break, and then I'll be introducing the guest this morning. Like I said, it's a Mr. and Mrs. affair, and it's all beauty in studio. I'm looking forward to a very, very important conversation, so don't you go anywhere.
Well, do you know what's happening around you? Morning Cafe with heated political debates. Baraza la siasa.
Hiyo kitu azungumzie, angalie hali ya maisha ya watu.
Informative health discussions. Business, farming. Tasty Wednesday, Fitness Thursday, and Feel Good Friday with amazing DJs, celebs,
waimbaji, kuna comedians, alafu kuna wajinga,
and music bands every Monday to Friday from 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. How well do you know what's happening around you? Morning Cafe with heated political debates. Baraza la siasa.
Hiyo kitu azungumzie, angalie hali ya maisha ya watu.
Informative health discussions. Business, farming. Tasty Wednesday, Fitness Thursday, and Feel Good Friday with amazing DJs, celebs,
waimbaji, kuna comedians, alafu kuna wajinga,
and music bands every Monday to Friday from 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. How well do you know what's happening around you? Morning Cafe with heated political debates. Baraza la siasa.
Hiyo kitu azungumzie, angalie hali ya maisha ya watu.
Informative health discussions. business, farming. Tasty Wednesday, Fitness Thursday, and Feel Good Friday with amazing DJs, celebs,
Waimbaji, kuna comedians, alafu kuna wajinga.
and music bands every Monday to Friday from 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. How well do you know what's happening around you? Morning Cafe with heated political debates. Baraza la Siasa.
Hiyo kitu azungumzie, aangalie hali ya maisha ya watu.
Informative health discussions. Business, farming. Tasty Wednesday, Fitness Thursday, and Feel Good Friday with amazing DJs, celebs,
Waimbaji, kuna comedians, alafu kuna wajinga.
and music bands every Monday to Friday from 6 a.m. to 9 a.m.
Hawayuni. Eric Omondi hapa, President of Comedy Africa, na tuko Kiambu, County number 22. Buda.
Loina ginera o naria doe mathire maire
DJ Skylar, Eric Omondi, Talanta 47.
You are watching TV 47, the home of untold stories.
Well, a beauty with brains, with a purpose is all we're about this morning. And like I said, it will be an affair of Mrs. and Mrs. I don't know whether that is good English, but all the same, you have understood what I am saying. Violence. Most of the times when we're talking about gender-based violence,